is Ion Elections, where we follow the developments of the Toronto mayoral by-elections with the objective of identifying the ideal candidate. I'm Tony Redman, and I'll be your host today. Welcome to Ion Election. Today, I'll be talking to mayoral elective candidate Glen Benway. Glen has some very interesting ideas on our transportation systems and on housing and a number of other issues that affect us as Torontonians. So I'm going to let you spend some time listening to him and how he can help Toronto be a better place. Welcome, Glen.
I'm glad to be here, Tony.
Go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself and your platform, please.
Well, Tony, I'm not a political guy, but I just got so upset listening to all of council, all of my other mayoralty candidates who seem to just want to throw $1 billion at every problem. And so I thought to myself, you're just a hypocrite if you don't do something about it. And the best way to do something about it is to run for mayor, set out a platform of ideas that the people around me think would be a lot more cost efficient and a lot more effective than has been going on. It just makes me so angry when I hear stories about some group wants to extend the opening of the warming centers a couple of weeks, and the council comes back and says, we don't have enough money in the budget. I mean, we've got a $16 billion budget. We're wasting $15 million on a second mayoralty candidate mayor's race in just a couple of months. Of course, we've got the money to keep some warming centers open. And when I hear council give huge numbers like $100 million to keep warming centers open, it's a sign to me that either they don't know the cost of these things or they don't know how to run them efficiently. I'm just in this race to try and convince people that there are better ways of doing things, more efficient, more cost effective, and certainly more just more humanitarian.
Well, then I definitely want to talk to you about that issue because I want to ask you first. I did read your platform and your plan for increased TTC ridership. Seems very interesting. I want you to just expand on that a little bit for our viewers and explain how you would go about funding it.
Right now, TTC ridership is way down. Part of that is because of the pandemic and there aren't as many people going downtown. But a bigger portion is people that former TTC riders during the pandemic got used to driving their cars to work, and because they find it so much more convenient, it's on time, it's warm, it's inviting. The TTC has made itself, they've got a saying, the better way. And I believe at one time the TTC lived up to their motto. Now Correct. It's just lip service to them. If we've got poor service, they call it great service. If we've got terrible service, they call it ordinary service. What we have to do is get them. It's not the riders that are the problem. It's the TTC. We've got to get them to keep their schedules. I hear people, it's mostly politicians that say, oh, we're losing $60 million a year people that are cheating the system and getting into the TTC illegally. Well,
Yeah.
where do they come up with these figures? They just pluck them out of the air. I've been riding the TTC for 50 years. I have never once seen anybody evade paying uh, their
Their
token.
fears.
I,
Yeah.
I've talked to people all over Toronto, and they say the same thing. Also, they say, um, I asked I asked them one important question. In all of your time of riding the TTC, have you ever seen a violent incident or felt intimidated? And I have not run across a single person that has seen a violent incident. Of course, everybody has a story about somebody who has mental health problems, or a homeless person that's riding the TTC and hasn't had a shower in a while. But other than
Yes.
that, most people don't feel scared to be on the TTC.
On the TTC.
So
Correct.
if you have like some of my fellow candidates want to increase the number of special constables,
Yes.
that's that's not the answer. The
Yeah.
answer is to get people to be aware of their surroundings. Make sure that the TTC needs to have some really cute little advertisements that they can run at all of their locations over and over again. Maybe get a community college or a couple of community colleges to to have contests on who can come up with the best safety uh, uh, media
So
clips that
you're
they can play.
basically trying to improve the experience of the TTC rider as they get on the trains and buses. Am I correct?
Yeah, that if that initiative would help people to be safe, uh,
Right.
to improve the experience on once they get onto the system. So
Yes.
what we need is a notice board at every entrance to all of their locations that will give the status of the
Arrivals and departures, etc. The timing.
yeah, and if there is a shutdown, let us know before we get on it so I can go out there and try to hail a taxi if I have to.
Yes. That
And
that is definitely something that can be improved upon. And it's these are workable solutions because that is how the GO trains operate. Basically, we have advance notice of delays and shutdowns, etc. The other area I wanted to talk to you about was the improvement of service delivery with respect to our social services, especially in the area of what we talked about earlier, homelessness, affordable housing, and available housing. So I wanted to ask you two quick questions. What do you see as the root cause or causes of the homeless situation? And secondly, with your housing plan, where would you focus your energies and resources? In affordable rental homes, in available and affordable purchase homes for purchase, or on providing shelter for the homeless?
well, that's you know, um, housing and homelessness are is a very complex issue, and um, where I see the problem is homeless come from people who have mental health issues. They come from people who have addictive issues, people who have just gotten out of jail, um, and even if you build affordable housing, that isn't going to help them. And I'm not really an authority on taking people off the street and finding them places to stay. But I will say that if I become mayor, I'm going to consult the real people, the real experts in this field, not the ones at City Hall, not the politicians that are on council, but the real experts that deal with homelessness every day.
Yes.
And as I started off saying, the very first thing that I would do is I would make sure that there are, as they call them now, warming and cooling centers open every day of the year. And I wouldn't call them warming or cooling centers. I'd call them comfort centers.
Right.
But right now we've got people riding the subway all day long. We've got people taking over transit shelters and staying in there all day
Yes.
long. We've got people in doorways of abandoned buildings and doorways of buildings that aren't abandoned. We've
Right.
got people trying to sneak into public places where they can get warm or cool, where
Yes.
they can use a bathroom. Now, as far as affordable housing goes, I think right now our biggest problem is entry-level housing. Nobody graduating out of high school or university can afford $2,000 a month for rent.
Right. Correct.
And where do we need this housing? We need it everywhere. So
Correct. Yes.
yeah, my thinking is the easiest way to get a lot of housing on the market is to push people to try to get people that have extra space in their residential houses, whether it be basement apartments that they can very quickly put in. If your lot is amenable to it, laneway housing. These are cheap housing efforts. You can put Lots of people can put in a
Yes.
basement apartment for $30,000, and they can do it in a couple of months. And my program would have the city set up a special unit to streamline the the permit procedure, and we would give free permitting to people that are putting in an extra unit in their homes. And after the permit is cleared, we would give them $1,000 tax credit.
Credit.
And
Okay. So there is an incentive there for the homeowner to participate in your program.
yes, and we would advertise. Every piece of literature that comes out of City Hall would be advertising the advantage to it, encouraging people,
Right.
telling them the social benefit of providing more housing.
But that is an excellent idea. I hope that some form or fashion of that particular model that you're putting out there is implemented in the next few months. What other key issue does your platform focus on outside of the housing and TTC and transportation?
Oh, one of the things that some of my fellow mayoralty candidates have been commenting on recently is traffic congestion.
Yes.
I heard a ridiculous, at least it was ridiculous to me, statement that the problem with congestion downtown is the drivers. The drivers are going into intersections and blocking the intersection when the light changes. Well, I don't know whether that candidate, well, quite frankly, I think the candidate was insulting our intelligence. All you have to do is drive down Young Street, where they have taken 2 lanes of traffic off of Young Street and put bicycle lanes.
What
You,
bicycle lanes? Yeah.
yeah. And with those bicycle lanes, they've taken off the turning lanes. So if you're going in one direction and even if you're doing a right-hand turn, uh, and there's pedestrian traffic, it's blocking you from turning, but there's no separate lane to turn. So you're blocking all of the traffic behind you. And of course,
Yes.
left-hand turns are a lot worse.
But there's a lot of debate around the removal of those bicycle lanes going on right now. So a lot of people, a lot of your fellow candidates share your opinion. So that is definitely going to be a hot topic as the election campaigns build. But you gave me a nice segue in mentioning the emissions, right? Carbon emissions caused by the traffic, which is the secondary issue. So, and one of the issues that I'm not seeing heavily debated is the issue of climate change and environmental protection. Where do you stand on
I think that we have to do everything that we can do to reduce emissions. It's
that? Hmm.
it's obviously um, it's obviously causing a lot of distress around the world. We're seeing, as a good example, are the wildfires out west right now happening
Yes.
in. They were telling me that in northern Alberta the other day it was 30 degrees centigrade. There's been years when it never got to 30 degrees centigrade all summer out
Well,
there. So
yeah,
this is real. But I
correct.
think what we have to do, and the city has to uh, be a leader.
It is a very a serious problem that we have to address. And what I've noticed, like I said, is that that is an absent part of the debates. And given that it's not an isolated problem, this is a global problem, and our city is a major international city, right? And it's important that we do take a leadership role on that. And what it's going to take, from my humble opinion, is a lot of re-educating. It requires a new mindset because we need the planet. If without the planet, there are no human beings. And I'm assuming that as a species, we want to survive. So that those two things have to become priority. But it appears that from a global scale, the priority still remains profit and money, and what happens to the environment and to the people is secondary. How do you feel on that? And do you have, or do you have a different opinion in what you've been observing around the
I I think the environment is one of our main problems, and I think that we have to have experts who understand the real problems and not politicians who will do things for show. For instance, we need to make sure that when we spend money, that we've got the right technology, that we're not too early to get the technology, not paying way too much for it, encouraging the development of the technology. Um, a good example, early in the development of windmills, they weren't quite as effective as they are now. And
right?
a lot of countries spent an awful lot of money on very inefficient windmills. Well, now they're tearing them out because they're just costing too much. If they had have just delayed a little while longer. The money could have been better spent. And I think it was a political decision to, for show, we are doing something, instead of saying, let's support the technology and what's right. Then we go whole hog into it.
You answered the question first by saying, I would consult with those who know. And there's so many of our leaders who are driven by ego and not capable of saying, well, I don't know, let me ask someone. So the mere fact that you're going to seek out expert advice to inform your decisions is the first and one of the best characteristics a mayor could have. And secondly, your recognition of the large scale, the macro issues, and a willingness to apply new technologies and systems into improving and addressing those issues. You do have some good ideas that are worthy of sharing. And I deeply appreciate you taking the time to be with me today and sharing those. And hopefully we can get those ideas out there and eventually we will see those things implemented. So I'd like to thank you again and give you a couple of minutes to close up anything you want to leave the public with. I'll make sure they get it.
Just hopeful that we will elect a mayor that uses some common sense and values the taxpayers' money and has some compassion for those that are less fortunate than us.
Great. Well, thanks again, Glenn. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate this.
All right.
Have a great afternoon.
A good day. You too. Thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation. For more information on the critical issues that affect us, please visit our website, advocateforchange.com. And don't forget to subscribe and share. Thanks again. Have a great day.